Hello, guys. We're doing the men's world today, and we're going to be getting into a little bit about what we have here with millennial women, or millennial men that want 1950s housewives after they have kids, and etc. etc. All this great stuff that is probably normal and healthy for both parties involved. And we'll get right into it. Let's start. Millennial men want 1950s housewives after they have kids. The ambition of millennial women has long been lauded, from the girl power childhoods to their PhDs. Women are now the backbone of the workforce. In 2018, 74 men earned bachelor degrees for every 100 women. Some 64% of women are now breadwinners or equal earners in their households, and no wonder. They've grown up being told that women are able to do and be anything until they become mothers. At that point, many of the partners apparently expect them to turn into Joan Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver. Laura Barson's new book, Ambitious Like a Mother, explores how working mothers get tasked with a second shift, i.e., all the domestic and family work that occurs after paid work ends for the day. Even among the households where partners initially split chores equally, childcare ends up falling to mothers. 75% of moms are the ones who assume responsibility for appointments like children's checkups. They're also 4 times more likely than their partners to miss work to take care of sick children, a statistic that became all too clear during the COVID pandemic. Even in normal times, women expend approximately 2 hours more per day tending to domestic work than their partners. A 2013 research paper by economics professors Francine D. Blau and Lawrence M. Kahn claim that modern men do not adjust the amount of time they take to housework based on their wife's employment status. In other words, putting in long hours at the office doesn't mean your husband is necessarily going to pick up the slack and wash out the baby bottles. Women are exhausted, and many of their partners just aren't helping. One mother, based on this book, explained that even though she honored her husband, she was so responsible for anything related to housework, doctor's appointments, my child's EP plan. My husband didn't take any effort to understand it. Okay, here's the thing. Have they ever thought that maybe the mother, just one of the two, end up staying behind with the children and maybe taking care of the child instead of both going to work? This is the thing that we have a problem with. The reason why men specifically like it when women are able to stay at home and be mothers, because they're normally the nurturing ones, right? Where it's better for it's because they bring in the home the money and they get to come home and do their fatherly things. It's better for both parties to have one person taking care of the kids and then have another person going to work. I understand in today's climate that's not necessarily possible because of how expensive things are and how crazy it is, but that's just the reality of it. It breeds a better working household, and I've seen it time and time and time again to where one of the two have to work, or both have to work, and their relationship or the relationship starts to falter or go downhill because obviously there's a lot of strife or a lot of issues that comes with that, and because it's very taxing, and kids need to have actual attention to the parents. I would say part of the reason why maybe kids even have issues to begin with is because if you don't have a parent specifically looking after their children, they don't get that bond, then there seems to be some type of issue to where the bond is just not there. Somebody has to look after the kids, and I don't necessarily like leaving my kids with some random stranger rather than having my Pacific wife having to take care of the kid and look after them and all that other stuff. Or we could reverse it and have the man do it as well, and have him start working it. Either one of the two, in my opinion, should do one of those household duties. And that's just the way it is. It works well, and we have been pushing for women to say, screw that, and you go, girl, go get your job, go get to your career, and not telling her that she's on a biological clock, and that the later that she waits to have children and start a family, etc., it becomes a problem. And we're going to go over that with a brief video with Jordan Peterson and another article that says otherwise onto why this is an issue and why women are actively having problems with their relationships in general. Because society wants them to always work and not have women have the choice to choose on what they want to do. We want them to work, 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 and never have them the choice. This is a problem in society, and it's being pushed by the media. Professional working mothers who find themselves with partners who are unwilling to make that shift in perspective and allocation of time and resources have a tough choice. Whereas persons radically compromise who they are and what they want to stay in the marriage or leave. Plenty of women opt out for the latter. According to a 2015 study by the American Sociological Association, women initiate 69 divorces, and among college-educated women, it's 90%. Breegan Jane, whom was in an interview for the book, initially tried to tell herself that she was okay with traditional gender roles. However, she found out that her contributions around the home were never fully valued. Her husband gave people the impression that she was his spoiled wife. She divorced him, started flipping homes, and became an HGTV host who helps rebuild homes for families in need. Her case could not be more excited about her work. Another woman Brazilian spoke spotted the problem early on when her fiance told her she would have to lower her ambitions if they were going to have children. Which is understandable because you need somebody to take care of the children. It makes sense. Like, I don't understand how that is remotely a problem. This should be discussed beforehand. And again, talk it out and decide what you need to do. But yes, in most cases, you would want one of the two to take care of the children. This is normal. So I don't see the problem here. And also, with the flipping houses, are we going to start talking about how maybe 10 years or 20 years, or how old they are, if they're like 20, if they're 30, 10, that later down the road, if they don't have children or whatever, and they can't have children, or they don't have children and they're single and they don't have a family, that they're not okay psychologically. Like, we're not going to start talking about this and how this affects women. No, because the feminist movement wants women to be forced to do these things that actively hurts against them and not given the choice of what they want to do in their life. And that's what's messed up here. The women should be able to choose on what they want to do with their life. If they want to be a housewife or whatever, let them be able to do it. But no, society is telling them, screw that, don't do that, be forced to do this career job, waste all the years of your life where you're most be able to be fertile, and wait till it's too late to have children. Because here's reality. Like I said, at the year 18 to 24, give or take maybe even 25, men find women the most suitable in this age bracket. They can get away with, obviously 23 through 27 or whatever, but after a certain point, to where they're getting too old, men don't seem to want them because their chances of having children is lowered. You're not able to have children as easy, so men ignore these type of women. But we're not going to tell women this, because why would we? This would be a benefit to women. This is the reason why society is not helping women at all. It's actually quite hilarious. They're trying to paint this as like, oh, this is a men problem. It's like, no, this is a society problem, and you guys are actively pushing against it. You're actively hurting women. But keep on doing this in New York Post. Keep on lying to them. She broke off their engagement instead. Bustling experienced his choice herself. In addition to author, she is also a lawyer. Following the birth of their children, her own husband hoped she would stop chasing after bigger, harder projects so they could be more present. Again, that's not a problem. She felt certain her children would understand her need for fulfilling work and would benefit by knowing that mom is out there making the world a better place. Okay, I don't think children really care about that. I think what children actually care about is that children want a parent or somebody present, not some random person taking care of them. Studies show that children of working mothers are just as well adjusted and have no behavioral problems than their peers. Okay, so where's the studies that say that? By the way, give me an actual study that shows that. Where is it? Hello, New York Post. Where is that? Her husband, however, did not understand. The couple divorced, not an easy solution by any means, but working mothers who get divorced report that they are happier. In Brazilian's case, she found that sharing custody of her children creates protected time pockets where I can be productive and focus on her work with fewer distractions, and with full knowledge that childcare duties are truly being divided equally. In 2022, for families to thrive, husbands may need to start supporting their wives' careers the way wives have supported their husbands for generations. Women aren't going to go backwards. If men want relationships to last, they'll have to go forward into the 21st century. Again, men's problem, right? Men's problem. Again, you guys are teaching women a terrible, terrible thing because your lives are garbage, and you want to teach them a horrible thing in general to the women populace. You guys are the problem here. So let's go to the next article here. Forbes: Why working mothers aren't happy. Like a bad holiday present, late last year, Harvard Business School released a study showing that high potential women are still failing to meet their career ambitions. This research was particularly interesting because it looked at female graduates of Harvard Business School, a group with far more opportunities than most professional women. The findings held for older women and millennials, lending evidence that younger men are facing the same challenges as they advance. The study looked at expectations in particular and how women's expectations fall short of their ultimate realities in terms of their careers and family lives. Men don't encounter the same issue, resulting in an expectation gap with serious consequences. Yeah, because the consequences of men going after their careers and not focusing on their actual ability to have children and their family is actually detrimental to them. Because in reality, women really just want to have a family and they want to have kids. They want to be a mother. When you tell them to go after this one specific thing that takes years to build up, and their actual fertility is going down the drain year after year after year after year, it becomes a huge problem for them. So that makes sense. It is a serious consequence for them. Women will suffer this aspect of it. Again, this is women hurting other women, which is honestly hilarious. Let's not forget, the simps. They're also a big problem of this as well. Reading this, it feels like deja vu. It seems we're in a national, just circular debate about working women that we can't escape. Women begin to make progress. Younger women raise their expectations, only have them trashed by reality. I know that for my fellow Gen X women, we came out of school certain we had it all only to learn that the reality of being working mothers and professional women had many challenges in store for us. Millennials are tracking on our heels. We discussed ad nauseum the various reasons that women don't hold more high-power career positions. Sheryl Sandberg incited an entire movement with her book, Lean In. So what are some factors still causing women to fall behind in their own expectations? That's, again, I've gone over it before. So, we'll go with this now. The study spent a considerable amount of time discussing the gap in expectations between men and women, what the authors call disordered expectations in marriage. According to the study, about 60% of male graduates who were 32 to 67 years old expected that their careers would take priority over their wives, and nearly 3/4 of the men said that turned out to be true. About 80% expected their spouse to do most of the child care, and that happened for 80% of them. Among women in that age group, however, only 17 to 25% expected their husband's careers to take precedence, but they did so 40% of the time. Half the women expected to handle a majority of childcare, but nearly 3/4 said they ended up doing so. There's a gap in women's expectations for themselves, but also a large gap in expectations about work and family lives between men and women from the outset. The study raises questions about how well we're communicating up front before marriage to align expectations for careers and families. Or, as Sheryl Sandberg said, the most important career choice is who you'll marry. Lack of positive female role models. We know that women are far underrepresented at the highest echelons of society. According to a 2013 survey, just 16.9% of corporate board seats were held by women, and only 8.1% of the Fortune 500's top earners were female. Of the Fortune 500 companies, 135 had no female executive officers. The number of women in Congress has stalled at around 20%. Even when women are heading up big corporations, fewer are openly discussing issues of women in leadership. Further, these leaders, according to HSBC's USA Chief Executive Irene Donner, may not be acting as the best role models. The women at the top of organizations that I know will tell you that we think that we've made it because we were born the way we are and can play by these roles without feeling damaged by them. Or we've learned how to play by these rules and use them to our own advantage. I suspect that we are simply not very good role models. Donner added, there are not enough of us to be visible so that people can work out how to do what we did. Donner is daring to say publicly what many women express privately. When they look at the lives of women they know in high-ranking positions, they don't want them. This is not to blame women, as there are a myriad of reasons behind this. Still, I've heard many female clients express that they don't want to follow in the same footsteps as the women before them. So not only do we not have enough role models for women, we have even fewer that we aspire to be. We're not in the hot jobs. As a 2012 Catalyst study found that there are fewer women holding so-called hot jobs positions with high visibility, P&L responsibility, and international experience that are often prerequisites to the suite. By not being in contention for these jobs, women have limited opportunities to make it to the highest echelons of corporate officers. 62% of survey participants said that the assignments that gave them high visibility and leadership experience had the greatest impact on their careers, while only 10% said formal training programs were the most beneficial. This research dovetails with a common frustration from women that felt sidelined in their careers and weren't seen as candidates for the top positions. Women's second shift takes a toll. It's been well established, and the Harvard study reinforces that women do the majority of domestic work, dubbed the second shift, in the 1980s. Women face time pressures as they juggle everything from picking up children and coordinating family activities to getting dinner on the table. With the ever-increasing demands on parents, this trend has only gotten worse. Even for families who have the best full-time domestic help, the management and decision-making of the family will show primary falls on women's shoulders, whether women sacrifice their careers or sleep to accomplish everything. I've yet to meet one mother who's escaped untouched. So now, we'll go for... go to this one here, and then we'll get into the last part of this video. There are certainly more supportive husbands who want to and are contributing to their partner career, but our culture doesn't make it easy on them either. Paternity leave is decreasing in the U.S., and there's as well established stigma for taking anything beyond a minimal amount of time in most companies. As this article in the Wall Street Journal entitled "Women at Work: A Guide for Men" points out, there are many opinions and confusion about how men can best support women in the workplace. And as the comment section just demonstrates, no shortage of frustration. One glimmer of hope is a trend of flexible time for all workers, which allows a natural give and take between partners. One study by Working Mother Research Institute showed that nearly 80% of men have flex time and feel confident in using it. It depends on what work they're doing, because sometimes they don't, right? So we're going to go into specifically Jordan Peterson here onto exactly what he's talking about. Well, and we'll end this video.
What's the relative importance of career and motherhood in the typical woman's life? I'm 55, and I've been working with men and women my entire life, and I've watched this, and it's quite obvious. It's like at 19, it's all career. By 30, that's just not the case. It's not the case. I don't know if I've seen a single woman who I didn't think had a psychological problem, who hadn't seriously flipped in their attitude towards the balance of family and career by the time they were 30. And then you see lots of women who at 40 haven't had kids and perhaps wanted to, and that's not a pleasant situation.
He's right. And in this sample, most women are actually on some type of like psychedelics or drugs, due to like antidepressant drugs. This is a huge problem. So nobody's talking about that though, right? Nobody's talking about the amount of women being on antidepressant drugs and and all this other stuff. But I digress.
I was talking to a woman who is about 39, a professional woman, attractive, well put together, competent, well educated, successful in her profession, unmarried, in a relationship with an older guy, but unmarried, and desperate to have a child. She said no one ever talked to her about the fact that she'd actually want to have a family or encouraged her to think about doing that. It was as if it wasn't within the realm of possibility that one of the things that she might have the ambition to do would be to be a mother. And that's just not acceptable.
Exactly. So again, like I said, women are not being told that you be encouraged or letting them be able to have a family or start a family or whatever. We're pushing them to do this job or this career job that may not be a benefit to them. We're not giving them the said choice, right? We're telling them do this, and at what it's looking like it's being a huge problem to women in general, not really helping them.
It was like she woke up in her late 30s and thought, well, the first thing she thought was, this profession of mine is actually nowhere near as comprehensively fulfilling as the advertisements claimed, which is something that virtually everyone discovers as they move forward in their professional career. The reason that you get paid generally for your work is because you're doing something that you wouldn't choose to do if you weren't being paid for it. And so the idea that your career is going to be the fundamental source of your fulfillment is true for a very tiny minority of people. And even with them, it's complicated.
Yeah. Most men don't want to actually work. We work because we have to. There's no, if I could not have to do this, if I wasn't doing my YouTube channel, if I didn't have to work and I was just being paid, I would do that. But again, I have to work. I have to make this. I have to make a living somehow. So again, I was like, I have to do this. And it's going to be the same thing with women. Women have to go out and work every day, do big corporate stuff, and that's where the money is, right? Because we're not seeing them do construction. We're not seeing them do hard manual labor. We're not seeing them doing any of the men's jobs, which is 80, like a lot of the men jobs that provide all the service and keeps this country running, all countries running for that matter. We're not seeing them enter those work fields. Yes, there are some that do, but it's not the majority. They're not entering that. They're entering these corporate work jobs and all this other stuff, which can be very taxing. And we're telling them to push to this stuff because equal rights and it's good for you. It's fair. It's like, okay, but is that what you want though?
So she was tearful and upset about the fact that it took her so long to discover that there were other important dimensions to life, and that motherhood turns out to be, well, how many things do you do in your life that are fundamental, right? You have a career and your education, so that would be part of your career development. That's part of what makes you generally useful in society and perhaps a place that you find some meaning and purpose. You have your friends, you have your family, like your parents and your siblings and so forth. You have your kids, you have your relationship. That's it. There's 4 things. Now, you can expand that to some degree. You can have, maybe you're creative and you make good use of your personal time. There's other factors that aren't trivial, but those 4 things are canonically important. You miss one of them and you're going to pay for it. And so our society needs to rethink our relative valuation of career versus motherhood. So we don't know how to solve this problem, but we could at least have an intelligent discussion about it, and we could start by admitting that the idea that most 19-year-old women are fed, which is that their career will be the primary purpose of their life, is actually a lie.
Yep. And I know so many women that are been told this and they're not happy or successful. I know some women that got divorced and that's going to be the primary source of happiness, and it's and let me tell you that you could see that they're not necessarily truly happy here, and it's having a negative effect. But this is what the media does to people. What it does to women. Let's not talk about how Instagram actively try to let the women do how it lets women sexualize women, essentially, because that's kind of the truth. Granted, the women do this themselves; they sexualize themselves, but again, it's mostly a woman platform, and this is what happens. Just go look up any Twitch streamer or whatever and you'll see the actual truth here. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.